Hello everyone, SiegeLink here, back with Game 2 of JinLair PinkWings vs. Snap Back to Reality. And here we got a player known as 11, who apparently the second they send them in, everyone was like, oh my god, people are just going crazy. And I ended up looking, we have sort of the rosters of each with their like races and their name all posted on the website. So Heroku posted this specific roster in this specific week in the Discord, and he put like a parentheses NA trash easy win basically. like so I'm expecting some terrible plays, but I'm not gonna count them out just because Heroku the team said that. So in the top left, currently up 1-0, we have DrunkCarbot or Smucky. In the bottom right, we have this blue Zerg representing Snap Back to Reality. It's 11. So and he's a member of, that's the Risen. I'm pretty sure that's the Risen symbol. It says AB, and the A is like one of those weird A's. I personally didn't never use like A's like that. That might just actually that might I was about to say that might just be a cursive A, but no. I actually failed. Well, not so much like failed, but like I basically say like I failed cursive in elementary school, and I'm very glad that no, they're not actually like it's not necessary anymore because I could just never get used to it. I don't know what it was with me, but I just couldn't get used to cursive. So far normal. For a sec, I was about to see like where's the second overlord, but there it is. I do like this the SCV Scout quite a lot earlier. I personally don't like when people send the SCV Scout like right when the Reapers starts in production because I'm like, at that point, why even send the SCV out if the Reaper's gonna come across like 10, 15 seconds later? Because like if they're going for like a one base play, sometimes depending on like the timing, the one base play you'll see before like you can like there's one build where you go for like three Ravagers on one base, and a Reaper will be like here, and the Ravagers will be like here. So you'll scout it like a few seconds later. It's not that noticeable. You will still scout it with the Reaper, but like, and the SCV will like save a tiny bit of timing. But like, I feel like you should either just SCV scout quite a bit more early than the Reaper. Otherwise, I don't see like that big of a reason. I understand the reasoning behind it. I just feel like it's not a good reason personally. Now, usually I wouldn't actually like just patrolling on a third base location, but in this case it's actually pretty good because the jump up ramps here, the Reaper can keep tabs here, and the SCV can keep tabs here. And yep, we're seeing the Lings come over. The question is, can he kill all four Lings? So far, no. He is baiting them away. So the drone will get down, but he will kill quite a few Lings for it. And he did deny it. Well, actually, he didn't really deny because he sent the Lings down there before the drone, so he kind of planned that. CC done. Two Marines being made off of a reactor. And I assume we're going to see an instant switch here. Yep. I would love to see a bunker because two Marines is not really that good just by themselves. I mean, you might as well make them if you got the extra money, I guess. But I mean, you could use that money for like an earlier third CC. Maybe an extra barracks. A little earlier. Like two Marines by themselves do nothing against Lings if they're not in the bunker, pretty much. Like imagine just 20 Lings, speedlings just come up and kill those Marines. What are those Marines gonna do? Nothing. They can help a little bit against like maybe like a six slowlings, but I mean you already dealt with those slowlings with your Reaper, so you know that's not going to happen. He is making a decent chunk more Lings. Baneling Nest, no lair yet. So this might be a 2.5 base Bane Bust. Now, there's actually quite a few variations of Bane Bust. For those of you who don't know, what I sometimes like to use half, the term like half when it's like arguably 1 or 0 basically. So by 2.5 base in StarCraft, I mean two bases fully saturated and one base has no workers on it, and it's just used for larva, or it's used to transition. Like, oh, I'm gonna go aggressive, but now I'm gonna use my resources to drone up. He does have 4 healing, so he can compete with his metalings, but not if he moves up the ramp. Okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be a 2.5 base Bane Bust. because he's getting melee ups and he's making a ton of lings. It looks, for the most part, like he's stopped worker production. And he's got the watchtower, though. Nope. That was... That's the one way you lose this, pretty much. And yeah, this is another thing I mentioned. He's got the Marines. I do like the positioning. He's moving them back. I think that's definitely the right play. And yep, here comes the Banelings. Okay, I would say... Definitely say just kind of go for it. Group up the Hellions. You definitely want to move the Banshee forward, because you know that there's not going to be anti-air, and if it is, it's going to be like Ravagers. He's moved the Banshee back, which is definitely a poor choice, I think, here. He also didn't split his SCVs. He's going to hold the initial wave, but the follow-up Lings are going to do really well. He just needed to get these Banshees earlier. Like, if he sent these Banshees over here, he could have killed, like, 4 Banelings before they even popped. Looks like he might hold, but he did lose a ton of SCVs. At this point, his opponent could just build a Spore in each base, and then just drone up on his third base because of how much he did. But I do kind of like the play of not doing it, because he doesn't have, not only does not have Spores, he built a Spine in his mineral line, which is kind of an odd positioning for it. It looks like he should hold this. He just needs to... The biggest mistake that DrunkCarbot's making is that he's not paying full attention to his Hellions. I think I might start looking from his perspective, because I want to see what else he's doing. He's got 3 more Hellions, but he doesn't have any more minerals. What I would like to see is actually him repair that Hellion, and maybe get a quick tech lab here. Because if he doesn't start Stim Pack, I mean, his opponent could just make drones behind it and actually start going to the mid game. And his opponent, and the Terran's pretty screwed coming in the mid game if you're stuck on 1-1-1 with no Stim anywhere in sight. In this case, it's not going to matter. But one thing I would really love to see him do is, yeah, this right here. Move the Banshees. He's going to go for an attack, which also can do well. But what that's going to do is kind of result in like a weird base trade. And he actually does have Spores back at his base. So this is something I actually don't really like. Yeah, this is what you want to do. Push beforehand. Another thing I would like to see him actually attack with the SCVs, because they can like body block for the Hellions, so you don't actually lose the Hellions. So even though you're continuously losing SCVs, you're going to keep all the Hellions alive. And if the opponent tries to drone up behind it, you can move. You can just continually keep moving your Banshees forward, and you can see how much army the opponent has. At this point, I would definitely like to see him cut Banshee production. Actually, he's going for speed Banshees. This is weird, but could actually work. His opponent has a lot of Spores, so just Banshees alone is not gonna work. And he has got Cloak as well. And now we are seeing an extra factory. Okay, that explains why he wasn't building a tech lab. Or, well, to some extent, it makes sense why he wasn't building Stim. But I mean, he could just have a tech lab here and then just float this factory over. But I mean, you're focusing on the Bane bus. That's fine. I would love to see him target those creep tumors real quick, because that way queens wouldn't be able to move from base to base. But yeah, if he does kill all the queens, he can just kind of dodge the rest. He needs to micro this one back though. Yep, he's in a pretty good position here. Given the worker count and the fact that he's just getting Roachworn and Hydroden, and this is something I really want to emphasize. If you have a Bane nest, don't go for Roachworn. It's just a general rule. You don't want to have too many tech options, because I've seen this in a lot of games where players will build, multiple tech buildings, and they'll build like 2 or 3 tech buildings, and they'll use only one of them. Sacrificing the Banshees there might not seem that good, but he killed quite a lot of queens, and that heavily limits the ability to defend, because currently he's making 17 drones to try to get back up economically, which you can see is actually going to put him 10 workers above. But look at the army supply. All he has to do is realize that, just repair his Hellions a bit, and just A move. No armor yet, though, which is a little worrisome. He's also not floated his barracks. That's what I like. I like that that double scan quite a bit. Personally, the natural base I would have preferred. I would have liked to have scanned the main first, see if he has tech buildings. If he doesn't have tech buildings there, I would have scanned the natural. But if I see the Roachworn and Hydroden, I would have scanned the third base, because the natural is going to have pretty much nothing on it. It's going to have a base full of workers, and that's pretty much it. you might be able to see the army, which can be useful. But what you really want to see is scan the third base to see if there's workers there. Because if there's a bunch of workers there, you know you need to attack. If there's not many workers there, there's going to be an attack coming, most likely. Or maybe there's another third base location taken. So yeah, we're going to see an attack here. And, ooh, Lurker Den. See, again, Lurkers, I think, is one of those units that, like, if the opponent sees it coming, it's not going to do well. But if you can surprise your opponent with like 10 lurkers, it can do really well, especially if they don't have detection. But he's going for roaches, hydras, and lurkers. He's spending so much of his money into just production, or into just your production and tech. Does see the roaches now, and yeah, moving the spore is actually not good because Hyperflight Rotor is actually really good here. He does kill the third, but he does have a third just finishing, so it's actually not gonna like hurt his worker count at all. Because usually it's pretty bad. Because if you have like 3 base worth of workers and 2 bases to mine on, they'll end up just kind of going between minerals when you overmine bases. So they won't actually, you'll not at your worker count won't really show the proper amount of of your economy. And yeah, he sees this base, immediately kills it. At this point, the lurkers are his only hope. He has to hope his opponent doesn't make a raven, and he just walks all of his units into like 10 lurkers. That's his only shot. And even then, I don't see how he manages to get money for that many lurkers. I mean, he's got 6 hydras. He would have to turn all of his hydras into lurkers, and even 6, I'm not sure if that's enough. Because he gets hit by lurkers, he immediately scans. He could lose maybe all the Hellions or close to all the Hellions, but then the Cyclones kill them. He's got enough roaches to back up at least. And he is starting to make lurkers, and he doesn't actually have vision of that. Making a macro hatch. Actually, he's got a macro hatch before a creep tumor in the main base. I don't think he saw that. Okay, he's seen them now. And if I was him, I would immediately start making a raven. Yeah, just back up, hold the watchtower, and immediately scan. Immediately scan, kill those. Yeah, you could attack here. Yeah, not the best micro here. But yeah, killing the overlords is pretty good because then the banshees can kill everything. Because obviously you can just morph more. But the banshees will get quite a lot of value before they die. But no raven, that's worrying me. That's worrying me quite a bit. There are overlords here, but I do like how he went over here to see the space. However, you don't want to lose every single. That was not good. You want to go around here first, and that's one of the things you see quite often higher up in leagues is that people care so much about APM, about doing stuff back at home while doing stuff across the map, that they end up sacrificing units not for much. Because a quick way is just to move command to here, is just to go back at home, move command to here, and then go back here. But they will take the quickest route, which in this case for the Banshee is just straight across. I'm really worried for Carbot, because at this point, the only way he loses is if he doesn't make a Raven. If he has a Raven, he pretty much can't lose with Cyclones against Lurkers. But if he just walks all of his units into Lurkers without detection, that's really bad. Like right now. And Hellions die very quickly to Lurkers. I mean, look at this. He's got 3 Lurkers and, like, nothing else. You also don't want to rely on scans as well, because that means you're not muling. I would like to see him, like, maybe break some of these rocks, because that would allow him to flank the Lurkers so they wouldn't get max value. And again, he's going to target the Overseers, but in this case, he doesn't actually have any Banshees. Or actually, no, he's got 1, but it's not actually going to matter here. The problem for 11 is that he's just killed he's just lost his hatcheries way too many times this game. And look, it's even going to supply block him again. That's like the 3rd or 4th time he's been supply blocked this game. Maybe 2nd. Well, that's definitely 3rd now. And Carbot doesn't actually have, that good at macro. He's got, 5 guys, but he doesn't actually have. Okay, there. The armory was a little bit later than usual, but I think, yeah, I don't think 11 was as bad as some people said he was. I actually really like the build he went for. people have done it versus me before, and it's one of those things where like if you like move all your Hellions in to them, like he did there at the Watchtower, he lost pretty much all of his units. Like when that happened, it looked really bad for him. Like he needed very very good micro to win it, and it was about average, so he was just able to hold it. And with the Banshees, he was able to do it. And that's going to be us up 2-0. But that's usually how it goes with JinLair PinkWings, but that doesn't mean we're going to win. So stay tuned for the next game.